Hey, welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. It's been a while, so we are super excited to be on today's episode. As usual, you've got Brian Mills, the host, Brandon Duff, the co-host, and today we are going to cover how do you beat imposter syndrome? What do you do when the dream of an online business makes you work harder than a day job would? The answer? You build passive income. On the Passive Buddies podcast, we cover the myths behind passive income and how to build true financial and time freedom. Welcome to the Passive Buddies podcast. I've missed you, buddy.
I know. I've heard that thing like 3 times, and it's like, yes, this is the coolest podcast ever.
Yeah, so obviously for the listeners, it won't seem so drastic, obviously, because we post at least 3 times a week. But yeah, obviously for the listeners, we haven't recorded for like 2-3 weeks. It's just been crazy. So what a time to get back to it. I am super excited. What's new? What have I missed?
Wow, that's a good question. What have you missed? Well, we actually did not do good in our USC game. Well, we did do really good. We just lost by 1, so that was a little bit of a bummer. Still repping them though right here. But that's about it, man. Just onboarding some VAs right now for the cash flow challenge, so we can start doing some success coaching. But yeah, just every day rocking it. What about you? How's everything on your end?
Busy. Some good, some not so good. But yeah, no, it's been crazy. I think not having a VA disappear. Oh, hey, buddy. Not having a VA for a couple of days has actually killed me. A couple of software transfers hasn't been great. But no, mate, it's been hectic. So, imposter syndrome. You always look dead cool. You always look dead calm. Do you still get imposter syndrome from time to time?
Yeah, I think everyone does, especially when going on and learning a new skill. I think that when you have been doing it for a while, so like for instance, talking about real estate or talking about, I say, I'll give you a perfect example. Last year we got into crypto, and we were in teaching how to take pretty much a NFT game, which is a play to earn game in the crypto space, and make money with it. And when we were getting into it, I was very comfortable with it because I was able to really go through and take these NFTs, play them so that you earn a crypto and then start making money from it. And I was comfortable with doing that, but then onboarding actual other players and getting them to play was kind of frightening for me. So I asked my mom first, actually. That's how I got into the whole NFT game. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. Would you be interested? So she was like, yeah, that sounds great. Here's some money. And I set it up for her. And that's how I got pretty much from like being an imposter to thinking, no one is going to be interested in this at all. Like, this sounds dumb. And I went to like the thing that like most people don't want to go to is like their family. And I was like, I asked my mom, and if she thought I was crazy, then I was like, maybe this is not a good idea. But she was like, sure, that sounds awesome. So she came aboard on learning how to play with these NFTs to make money, and she thought it was super cool. And so that's how I kind of got over like a recent imposter syndrome, was with really just taking what I've learned, teaching someone else, them getting results from it, and then taking it to a wider audience.
So obviously, as you say, it's quite interesting, really, isn't it? Because from a point of, well, is this going to work? Do I know enough to actually like teach this or help set people up? And as you say, like you went outside of the game, like to someone who obviously your mum who wasn't really that clued up with it all, to obviously
Right.
like, see if you could sell it. Why do you think people consistently get imposter syndrome? Like it to me, like especially from a mindset point of view, like it's never a destination with mindset, is it? It's always a journey. Right. And imposter syndrome goes and comes back all the time. No matter, like, every time you take a step forward, it sort of just it sits there on your shoulders. And, oh, can you do this? Are you do you know enough to do this? Like, what sort of skills do you think are needed to shut that little monster up?
Well, I would say if you have something like an attention journal, so this is a way to take your kind of your goals and break them down into smaller steps. And so a lot of people, I think, they think too far in the future that they are gonna need to solve every single problem, and you really don't. You can actually like if you have enough of these journals, it kind of is just like showing you proof that you've done hours of work and have accomplished plenty of goals, and you can turn those goals into little, I guess, steps for people to get onboarded, especially since you might look back and be like, well, I did learn all these different things. Like I learned this and that, and I for sure can teach them. You don't need maybe teach them how to scale a business to $1 million, but you can maybe teach them where you've gone, and now you're just a few steps ahead of them. So say, for instance, if we've made over 500,000 in a year, and we can definitely show people how to get up to that point. And now we're to a point where we're onboarding VAs and taking VAs and helping them, or kind of teaching them how our onboarding process works. And so from there, we can teach what has worked and what hasn't. And then we can, break our. So what happens is I think people just think they know too much, and really there's people that don't know the basics or the foundation. So if you can start with the foundation and teach that and be good at it, then you will have a customer list forever. I think that's what it comes down to.
So obviously you mentioned the journals, and obviously basically that's a self, like when you're saying going back, like that's a self-reflection thing, isn't it? Like, right. Okay. Obviously throughout this journey, it's going back and going, well, do you know what? Like, I didn't know about funnels. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about appointment setting. And now obviously you can see the results of, I know obviously you've got like 100 signups for the cash flow challenge in like 30 days. And like, these are all like really good achievements that you can now look through your journals and go, do you know what? I've done this, and this, and it's got me this. Like, so you've positioned yourself on the mountain, and you can turn around and look down and go, well, actually, guys, I have got to this far, so I can help you. See, you're saying being self-reflective is a really good way of trying to beat imposter syndrome when it does show up.
Yeah, I think that if you can always be reminded by how far you've come, then it just goes to show you that you can, teach all the skills that you've learned over the couple months if you've been doing it, the couple years that you've been doing it, and that should, I think, well, it helps me. I don't know if it'll help you guys, but it definitely helps me really overcome that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and you know what? It gets frustrating, doesn't it? Like, obviously, the self-reflection, etc., to help get over that initial, like, or not the initial, but the latest bout of imposter syndrome. It gets frustrating, doesn't it? Like, when you're growing and you're doing and you're working things out, and then it's like fucking, I've got to deal with this again. I was like, I've got to go through this mindset challenge again. I've got to shut this little monster up again. It gets frustrating, doesn't it? Like, when it's like, when those questions or those self-reflective questions come up again, and you're like, oh, can you do this? Are you qualified to do this? But you're not as good as that person over there. You're not as successful as that person over there. So do you have a right? And I was like, and it's quite frustrating, isn't it, when that sort of thing happens?
Yeah, I mean, definitely see that. I mean, if you don't compare yourself with other people and you just compare yourself with I know it's kind of cliche to be like, don't compare yourself with other people, but you're really like, it's not apples to apples. They've been a whole different reality of their life than what you have been in your life. So we're all starting in different kind of directions. And I wouldn't really worry about what they're doing. I would just, like, for me, I always measure how much I made essentially through recurring income than I did last month. Did I make more this month? Am I going towards my goals for instance, in our 90-day challenge, I set myself up to have 3 kind of goals set in those 90 days, was to add 40 of additional recurring revenue. And so you want to have these goals that you can essentially set. And that's why if you just constantly set a goal for yourself and not compare yourself with other people, then you can accomplish that goal versus trying to really put yourself toe to toe with someone else, because you know where you're going to go. And then you don't have to worry about where someone else is going to go. You can just focus on yourself. And I think that if you set goals for yourself and you set them up with they're SMART goals. So they're specific, measurable, attainable,
realistic,
and then a time that you set. So like 3 months from now, 1 year from now. So I think that if you can not compare yourself to other people, it's just going to make you feel better about yourself, because you're competing with yourself every single day. And like, I know I sound very corny, but I think that's really like the most realistic goal you can set or a competition that you can set is with yourself, because you're always you have no one else to compare with, like, because you're the only person that has gone through your journey.
Yeah. And as you say, like, it sounds a little bit cliche, but you are right. But sometimes it's hard not to, isn't it? When you see these guys like absolutely crushing either like affiliate leaderboards or like bringing in so many people into their business, and you're like, fuck, why can't I do that? And it's like just remembering again, doing that self-reflection and going, well, actually my goals, ignore him, ignore them, like my goals are this, and how far close, etc., you are to achieving that. But you say, like, the competition is never with anyone else; it's always with yourself.
Right. Yeah, I think that you should only compete with yourself. I think it's also allows you to, again, see how far you've come when you have said, "Oh, I've made my first like $100 online." Like, wow, now I've made $100 a month, and that's consistent. And now I've made my first, $1,000, and then it just keeps adding up. And being able to see that and see how far you've actually come and how realistic your goals are, and being like, wow, just a year ago or 2 years ago or 4 years, 10 years ago, I'm now making X amount. And sure, that might be just $1,000 a month, but that's $1,000 more a month than you ever had when you didn't start. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's a case of to beat imposter syndrome, you've got to appreciate that it's going to show up more than once. It's going to show up throughout your journey, and when it shows up, the tools are right. Okay, cool. Why am I feeling like this? Well, for some reason I'm feeling like I could be feeling down. Like, right, okay, so let's take a look at what are they saying I can't do, and then go and look for the examples of when and how you've done it in the past. And go, well, actually, I've done it here. I achieved this here, so I have a right here. Ding, ding, ding. Then, if there's external influences that are making you feel bad, it's not their fault. Obviously, they're doing well, or doing better than what you are. But it's a case of, well, actually, screw them. Where am I at? Okay, the goal was this. Am I here? Did I improve on last month? Like, what's the crack? And having that constant, not battle, but that constant dance with yourself, and knowing what type of things to look for to squash that. Yeah,
I think that's a great roadmap. I mean, that will ultimately, I feel, that will help anyone kind of overcome any kind of imposter syndrome, because then you can take what you've proven to already have done with examples of your own ways you've overcome them, but you can take kind of just use those strategies again and see if they fix your problem. So I think that's a great way to continue. That's why it's so important. And we've talked about this in other episodes about documenting your journey, because then you can have solutions to fall back on if you actually kind of come to that imposter syndrome again, or come to that roadblock again. So it is important to document your journey. And so everything you said, I think, is pretty much great examples on how you can prove to yourself that you are worthy to teach other people, or worthy to take it to that next level in your business.
Absolutely perfect, guys. So as we said, like, remember, if it shows up more than once, that's normal. don't feel down the fact that like you've got to have that battle again. It will continually happen as you grow, as you achieve new things, as you like expand. Even whether it's like standing on stage and teaching something or selling a course, anything like that. Every time you grow as a human, you will have this battle. It's just putting these tools in place that you know
Right.
exactly how to handle that battle when it comes.
Yeah, I think that was a great close.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode, and we will see you on the next one.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Passive Buddies podcast. Have you begun your online journey yet? Or are you stuck on how to get it to work for you? Then why not take our exclusive free course, the 2-day Affiliate Commission Challenge, and start your journey to the rest of your life today. It's the first link in the podcast description and it's totally free. You have nothing to lose, yet everything to gain for you and your family. Enjoy our free gift to you, and the link is below.